What?
Yo, 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 yo. I'm Mike Delisio.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm Z Garcia.
Tomato. Hi, I'm Chris Yee.
Worst oink game
It really is,
in
yeah.
existence.
That is.
Tomato.
I think that's the worst.
That is the
Actually,
worst
the
one.
coin one's not great either.
Yeah,
And
money
it's not
bags.
as bad as having to just say the word, the syllables toe, may, and toe in random order.
That was a surprise. All right, so anyhow, folks, welcome to the Winter Spectacular. We're continuing on with our best of the year.
What are we missing?
Welcome back to the Dice Tower Spectacular. We're back with the best of the year. And today we're doing our top 10 surprises. But before we start, a
I
couple
feel like I
things.
missed something here.
My mic wasn't on.
Oh, okay. There we
We
go.
want to do
Mike's
some
right here.
shout outs to some of our backers. We want to say hey to Vincent and Mariah Groffman.
This is a trade?
Mariah
No,
Carey?
Vincent Groffman.
Vincent Groffman and Mariah Groffman.
Ali Medeman from the BAP Gaming Community in Tampere, Finland. Ryan Campbell.
Yes.
Joshua Bach. And Strategos Games. Also Florian Fobb from Peacock Tabletops, creator of Materia Prime. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your
It's a
support.
wonderfully diverse group of people.
Yeah.
I love
All
that.
over the world. Hey, we appreciate you guys. This is the end of the year. We're doing a celebration. And part of that celebration is doing our top 10 surprises. Now, a couple things.
Not all of these are games. Sometimes they were times that Mike jumped out of the closet at me.
Really?
Mine are all games.
Mine are all
all
games,
games.
Chris. You might need to reevaluate your list, sir. Okay.
Second,
That was the worst fake scribbling.
who invited Chris into this
You
particular
have no one to
show?
blame but yourself, Tom.
I'm sorry.
Yo, yo, yo.
Anyway, for me, and I think we all did this probably,
Yeah.
I deliberately picked games that were not in my top 10.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so there's a possibility there's some games that were surprised to me that hit my top 10. In fact, that's for sure. And these are not even the next 10 for me necessarily. I like them all. These were games that I measured them by, oh my word, that was really good, and I was not necessarily expecting it.
Sure.
I
Yes.
generally went with that, although I will say there are certain games that were not in my top 10 of the year, but I really felt like they deserved some kind of mention, and they had some type of surprise. They may not be like, oh, I was shocked, but there's something about it that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Well, I ordered mine by level of surprise.
Yes, I think I did that too.
Not necessarily in the order I like them. I might like number 5 better than number 1, but number 1 surprised me more than number 5 did.
It's a kind of a mixed
Somewhere
bag,
in there.
yeah.
Somewhere in
like
there.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
somewhat
gonna
mixed
go
bag,
ahead and
too,
say,
where-
I will say my rankings on this mean less than my rankings in my top 10 of the year. As far as like the difference between 10 and
that's
2
a
is
really
not that
fine
big of
line.
a. Sometimes it is. Some lists it is more than others.
Oh, he took that as a very straightforward comment. All right.
He didn't see it. He didn't see it coming.
I did not.
All right, so here we
Hey,
go.
hey.
We got 40 games. Let's see if there's any crossover. There might be. Here we go.
All right, my number 10 is a game that truly was a surprise to me. Now,
Oh, good, because that's the name
Wow.
of the list.
some of these will not be as big of a surprise. I back a lot of Kickstarter games. We've talked about this during crowd surfing, yes? That I probably am the biggest, other than like when you do for the library, personal collection, I probably back more Kickstarter games than anybody.
It's not even close.
It's not
not even
a
close.
I think you back more than all of us put together.
Yes.
Probably. And sometimes I pick games just because I like the look. That's all there is to it.
That's sad.
My number 10 is Aqua Garden, which was a game I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about the publisher. I knew nothing about the designer. I knew only what the Kickstarter told me, which was, a decent amount. But this is a game that I have gotten a tremendous number of plays out of, and I've also taught it at our Dice Tower retreats multiple times.
You did.
I've been trying to expose people to this game. I like it a whole lot. My biggest concern, and I have to mention this right off the bat, is that it's not easy to get a hold of right now. Unfortunately, I don't think that it has, a regular retail release. I would love for some publisher to pick this up, because this is a game that I think has a very wide appeal. It obviously has a beautiful aesthetic, and I think the theme is going to be attractive to a lot of people. It has a great ratio of rules to gameplay. It's not hard to teach, it's not hard to learn, but there are great decisions. It's over in a decent amount of time. It checks off so many boxes for me. I hope that this gets into wider release.
I think we were earlier talking about games to take on our vacation.
Yeah.
that might be one I bring.
That's a good
Since
choice.
I've not played it yet, and it's bugging me.
And it's a small box. It's a reasonable sized box.
Doesn't
I'd be
look like
happy
the
to
board's
teach it.
awfully large either.
No, not at all. Not
what
at all.
a good choice I just
You know what I'm
made.
surprised about, Mike? I'm surprised that you haven't taught this to me yet.
That was a purposeful decision I've made, Chris.
I'd like you to fix that.
Okay.
I'm surprised you backed it with that cover. That cover is not an attractive cover.
Oh, I
What?
disagree 100%.
Oh my word, that's a great cover.
a
What are
great
you talking
cover.
I
about?
love the board. I
It's
would like
watercolors, that
The
cover.
aesthetic of the whole thing, I think, is
Okay,
great.
maybe it didn't translate in that photo then.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
I like the
I
cover.
wasn't sold on it immediately, but
Ooh, let's fight. Okay, so you go
Okay,
ahead.
well, we'll fight afterwards.
All right,
okay.
that was my 10.
My number 10, it is me, right? Yeah, is Oltre, or Oltree, or Oltre. I don't know how you say this. This is one that came out of nowhere. I wasn't even aware of it existing, I think, and then it was a Gen Con. You know, I feel like it came out of nowhere. You guys played it.
Did you guys steal that picture from someone else?
Roy
Feels
took that-
like you did.
Roy took that picture.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mike put it in the box. I just threw it in here.
You guys played it before I ever got a chance to play it. I know you guys had gone through it a little
there's
bit.
no such evidence of that.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm
Right down the
nowhere in there. And so I finally was able to grab it and play it and try it out. I like the game. I think it's a very gorgeous game, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's got a neat story-driven vibe to the whole thing, though the stories are quite random. It's like basically read a card, something happens in this world. There's no cohesion to it, really. There's one main quest type deal. That
That
has
sounds
some
like
cohesion.
Tales of Arabian Nights.
No, it's not that random.
No, because there is a main thing,
There's a
main
chronicle.
quest, a
Yes.
chronicle, whatever.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
that's the main story. I think the replayability isn't quite there ultimately, and I think the game is one of those games that starts to make me feel desperate because I'm not doing enough each turn.
Yeah.
It's like this turn I get to move my horse, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I liked it. It's a fun world to visit, and it really definitely surprised me. So my number 10, Oltre.
My number 10 is a game that could have made, it was very close to making my top 5 experiences of the year. It's a game called Let's Dig for Treasure. This is in that Stephen Rhodes silly artwork kind of little series of games, and it's a very simple push your luck card game. You shuffle the cards, put them into 3 stacks, and you just start flipping cards. I enjoy that type of thing a lot, but when I saw this art, I thought this was going to be a gimmick game, just like a pure gimmick game, and I thought it was probably going to be pretty bad. But we had so much fun. You know, we're sitting there flipping over cards. I got worms. I dug up some milk. I dug up some cookies. I got a
got
matching
worms?
pair. Woo! And then it was my turn. I flip over a card and I got the Ark of the Covenant.
I know, it's really...
Yeah, we had to look through the cards. So
The first time we played that game, it was really funny.
That was hilarious.
Because we didn't know what we were going to turn over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also apparently a great game to play on the beach, Chris. So that's another bonus for the game.
Does look good. It does look good right there. Yeah.
This almost made my list. I thought about it. This whole series, actually. Well, 2 of them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's good. This one's such a fun little push your luck card game. So that's my number 10. Let's dig for treasure.
I like it.
I don't believe in celebrities endorsing games. It's usually a negative thing. Celebrities making games, even worse. I was really
Interesting.
surprised.
I know what you're going with here.
Okay.
At
Yeah.
number 10 is, I think it's just called The Box.
Box one.
Box 1, yes, Box 1.
We know
By
you're
Neil
talking.
Patrick Harris. I saw this at Target, walked right by it.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Well, you
And
thought
again,
it- you thought it
nothing
was
against
called
Neil Patrick
Box
Harris,
only.
but he's not a game designer.
No.
So, anywho, this is an escape room style game that I cannot tell you anymore, but here's the components, they show you. There's an envelope, there's a pen, there's a pad of paper, there's a box of cards. You open that box of cards, you take the card 1, read it, do exactly what it says, go to card 2, do exactly what it says, until you finish. I know it spoils it to tell more, but I mean, basically it's a escape room-ish type game. Really fun.
I do wonder how involved Neil Patrick Harris did. He really do this
I cannot
whole thing,
emphasize
you know what I mean?
enough that he's very involved.
Wow, okay.
You will know when you play the game
Okay.
that I speak
Wow.
correctly.
Okay.
Okay.
That is so crazy.
Does he show up
cannot-
at your house at the last card?
No.
You gotta knock.
You win. That'd be
No, but he's
fantastic.
definitely
Yeah, that's,
this is if you want to play an escape room game with people at all, this would be one of the I'd be like play this one first.
really.
That
Yeah.
easy of a sell, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, so box 1. My number
That's your
10.
number 10.
All right, that should have been your number 1. It sounds
Apparently.
like box 1.
All right, my number 9 was a surprise for me because have you ever had this?
Again.
No, I'm telling you why it was a surprise, not that it was a surprise.
This guy.
The reason why this was a surprise is have you ever had a situation where you see a game set up, maybe you haven't even done the setup, you see the game set up on the table and you have gamer shorthand, you feel like, okay, I kind of know what this game's going to be about, and then the experience is very different. Number 9 for me was Ruination. This was a game that I saw on the table. I thought, okay, troops on a map type of a game, certain things that I'm expecting, and it kind of went against my expectations. It was much quicker to play than I expected to be. It was much simpler of a system than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it just is a game that
More
belied my
minimalistic.
expectations. Yes.
Yeah, it's more minimalistic than you would suspect it would be.
Correct.
right?
It's a much more, I know this word is overused, but I can't think of a better one. It's a more elegant, streamlined design than I was expecting. A lot of times these games can have bloat, right? You know, mechanism upon mechanism, you know, area control, but you have all these other things. This is driven by every turn you're basically going to choose one of 3 cards that are out there on a display and do what it says. And that's really what drives the game. And of course, it's got minis and it's got this great theme and it has this beautiful, and to my eyes, aesthetic. But I was really surprised at the end of the game how different it was than I expected going in based on other games of this ilk. It does not feel, it feels unique to me in this genre. And so that's why it was on my surprise list, number 9.
I would put
Like
it in the
it.
Blood Rage category.
In what sense?
No, just in that box of games.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There is that sort of, minimalistic, stripped down thing to it. The action selection thing, like you said. It feels kind of peeled back and left with the just enough bones
Right.
and flavor to do what it needs to do, and that's it. I agree with you, Mike. This is also my
Is that right?
number 9.
Hey! I did not expect any crossovers on this list.
I'm going to
actually.
cross over
Actually, I
with you
think-
from here on out.
I think I'm already. There'll be more than one crossover at this point.
Wow. All right.
I will add nothing to what Mike said. I already added a little bit
Yeah,
while
yeah,
you were
yeah.
talking, so I got it. I'm good.
Perfection is what I'm hearing.
Hit it.
Good calls.
All right, interesting. My number 9 is also not the same. It's also a kind of a troops on a map kind of a feel. My number 9 is a game called Daimyo. I cannot emphasize to you, Tom, that when you set this up and said, let's play it, I was hesitant because the board is very busy. There's a lot going on.
Busy? That's not busy. Look at that. That board is clear as a bell.
Can we make 2021 the year of non-busy boards,
Jackson
though?
Pollock has been here.
Yeah, it is. It's busy. It didn't sound like the kind of game that I would really enjoy because I thought it was going to be one of those, kind of like you said, one of those inelegant, smash people, kind of big dumb games. But I was surprised. This has a really neat dice drafting system. It has a cool little way of activating bonus card effects from your hand. I like the little majorities, you know, the area majority kind of thing going on in it. It didn't feel as much like smashing troops. It was just kind of smart play, control some areas, sure.
There's
but
definitely a little take that, though, in the game.
There is
Yes.
some. There is some, but I was also surprised that didn't bother me too much. So for a type of game that's not usually in my wheelhouse, this one's really good.
All
That's
right.
number 9, Daimyo.
Interesting.
Number 9 is a tiny game that I played with Z and a few other people. 2-player game, and I call this the Micro Magic the Gathering, and that's Mindbug.
Yeah.
Again, there's 4 designers in this. Had Richard Garfield not been one of them, I think I would have just passed it by.
Right.
Because it looks like, I was like, this is one of those rip-offs of Magic the Gathering type things.
Yeah.
Which you're allowed to do if it's your own game. But it's not. It's pretty clever. It's one of those games, first time you play it, you're like, wait a minute. Did we just play a game in like 5-6 minutes? It's really fast.
Yeah.
It really goes quickly, and it's all about 2 major decisions you play over the course of the game, where you play a mind bug and steal a card someone else played. You could do that twice. You could do that the first 2 turns of the game,
Right.
if you want to. But I know you can do it the first 2 games, so maybe I'm feeling you out. But I know
Right.
that you know that.
You know that I know that you know.
And it has, the different creatures, and you're using the same deck. I would call it a micro game. It's slightly bigger than a micro game. Usually micro games have 18 cards. But if you took Magic the Gathering and shrunk it down into a micro game, it would be 40 cards. So
Right.
I was really surprised by this one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just a simple
Yeah,
little game.
the self-balancing thing in it is very clever.
Yeah, because nothing's overpowered. If a card would be overpowered, I would be afraid to play it.
Right.
Because you'll just take it from me.
Yeah.
So, my button.
Interesting. All right, so my number 8 is actually a brand new game. All right, and
Mine book's not even out. Don't worry about it.
so there you go. I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
Yes,
My book
yes.
is out. They sold
on
it at
Kickstarter.
They sold
No,
12
that's the
copies.
second printing of it.
You might be one of the 12 people that have a copy from
Also,
Essen.
these are all new games. They all came out this year.
No,
Mike.
very new. This is a game that
Did we just play it in the last session?
You've not played it yet. I've played it. Chris has played it.
Have I played it?
You have not played it.
You don't know.
Man.
My number 8 is from, the surprise is the designer to the game. It's designed by Reiner Knizia. This is The Siege of Rundar.
Oh, I played this. I didn't play it.
You did not play it. Now, it just, to me, it's a surprise because it doesn't feel like a Knizia game. It really doesn't. I mean, there are little cracks in the design. You can say, okay, that feels like him, but for the most part, this doesn't feel like a typical Reiner Knizia game.
So you're
It is-
accusing Knizia of not having designed this? Is that what you're saying?
I believe that Neil Patrick Harris actually designed this. Jim Parsons from the Big Bang Theory designed this game. But no, this is a cooperative game. It is very dice chucky. There is a tremendous amount of luck, and there are some Knizia dice rolling luck games, but they're stripped down to their core.
Right.
They're usually like just simple push your luck games like Escape or something like that. This has quite a bit more going on. This does not feel to me like a Knizia design, but it does feel balanced, and so you know there's a mathematical underpinning behind this.
Right.
It's just much more obscure than typically in his games.
It's more adventurous and a little.
Yeah.
There's more moments of excitement rather than moments of. This feels balanced.
That's a very good point. The game that it reminded me a bit of was one I talked to Tom about, but it's much better, is Clash of the Gladiators. This very old gladiator-themed game, which did not feel like a
You played
gladiator-themed
that one back
game.
in the day, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can see the cover in my head.
That was a game that presents itself as being one thing, and then you're like, this feels like a math problem.
Well, it is.
This presents itself one way, and it feels that way. It feels, like you said, very, very stand-up and excitement and right down to the wire, and so that's why it's a surprise. It doesn't feel like a typical Knizia game to me.
I got to try that out. All right, my number 8 is a social deduction game called Night of the Ninja.
Yeah, that's a good
Night
call.
of the Ninja is, as it says there, ninja fast social deduction. I agree with that, and the neat thing here is that it's not one big round of social deduction. It's many smaller rounds of it.
And there's one winner.
There is one winner
Yeah.
as well, but there's every round you draft cards. You are a role. There's 2 teams and some sort of Ronin type characters, and then you'll just go around the table playing a card, doing an ability on those those two cards you drafted. So I like that the teams are ever changing, and that if you do particularly badly one go around, you just get hosed, eliminated, whatever. You're back in the next round, the next shuffle. You're back in. I really like that. I like that it's not, it reminds me of some just straight up deduction games that are one big puzzle versus some where you're solving little moments.
Yes.
It's the same thing, and I really like that. I think it's very fast, super easy to comprehend and internalize and get into, and that raise to 5 points or whatever it was
can't remember
is it moves along at a nice clip. So very soon you're like, oh, that was great. You almost have that feeling of let's shuffle up again. Let's see what happens. So I really like it. Night of the Ninja is a good one. If you like this genre, you got to check it out.
You know what else I like about it is that a lot of times in social deduction games, I find myself getting anxiety over remembering what my role is and what it can do. These have very simple things, and they're on the cards.
Yeah.
You never have to worry about what can I do on my turn. I'm going to do one of these 2 things. It removes that element of social deduction that causes me anxiety and just allows me to focus on the people around the table. Good call. I like this game.
Yeah, it doesn't have that, and it doesn't have the overt lying really either. That's sort of like I need to lie,
That's true. There's a little bit, but you don't have to do it. You can just be quiet.
No.
You can play the game in silence.
Yes.
You could, yeah. It doesn't have that thing that some people find in social deduction games that pushes them out.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Very cool. So my number 8. Z, that smells like a good choice. in general, I would say that when you introduce games to us, there's a certain smell to it.
You have the worst transitions.
It's a smells like teen spirit. My number 8 is a game called Nirvana. Nirvana.
Okay, I apologize.
Was the
When I said you have the worst
destination?
transitions-
Yes, you spoke too soon, Tom.
Was the destination worth the journey? I ask you.
All right. Wow. Nirvana's a really bizarre little game.
It is.
Never mind is what I'll say to that.
Yeah. Oh.
Huh? You like that one?
I need to bleach
I
my
did.
brain after this. Come on, here we
Got
go.
it. So, Nirvana is a roll and write game, and there's plenty of those. But what's neat
Yes.
about it is you fill in these different colored sectors that you can see there.
Wow.
Right? Woo! Right? And I thought the exact same thing
Yeah.
when Z said, "Hey, can I get your guys' thoughts on this?" Well, you fill in the rows and columns. You sum up the rows and the columns in those little circles at the top there.
Those squares.
Those squares at the top and the bottoms. And then those are your cards, and the second half of a game is you play a ladder climbing game.
Yeah, virtual cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I was expecting so little from this, from especially that player sheet. But the amount of fun that we had kind of going around, so I'm going to play 3 6s, boop, 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 and you just cross them off. It works really smoothly. It's all in a good, small little form factor. And there's some real game to it. And I had a lot of fun with it. So
I just had a roller coaster. The cover, I was like, that looks great. And you showed the board, I was like, never mind. But now your description has me thinking it's better.
It's
Let me give
pretty
you a
neat.
little-
It's like a very simple, basic
It is.
roll and write that turns into a very simple and straightforward card shedding game, like ladder climbing.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's clever.
It's really interesting. Two halves normally wouldn't go together. They make for a very clean, straightforward game.
Yeah.
Chris is leaving a little bit out here. I'm going to give you a really quick backstory. Z wanted to get this game played because you were going to look at it for a review.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think this is going to work best with at least 3. So, Mike, do you have some time? Can you play this? This is at the studio. I'm like, yeah, I've got some time. Chris, do you have some time? He was at his desk. He turned, he didn't leave his desk. He looked at it and said, can I play it from my desk?
That's true. You did say that, didn't you?
We were sitting at the table. Chris wouldn't even get it. He was so uninspired by this. He wanted to play it 6 feet away from us.
Well,
Now,
I was editing some videos and
Right.
like, oh, it's a roll and write. Got it.
you did end up coming to the table, though.
What was it? Because Z said no. Like,
Right. You
Yeah.
need to be here. Right.
I
yeah.
grabbed you. I believe
Correct.
that's what happened.
Forcefully-
I physically manhandled you.
By the armpits.
Headlocks
I
were
haven't-
involved.
I
Anyway,
lifted you.
I
I'm
haven't been
impressed.
picked up by the armpit since I was like 3, but it was a good day.
that was the beginning, and now it's on your list of 10 best surprises. So
I'm very
you,
proud
good
of what
on
I've
you,
done
Z.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've grown.
That's my number
And
8,
thrown.
Nirvana.
All right. Well, Z doesn't ask me to play many games.
Would you have played that one?
I would not have. I would have been like, I'm really busy.
I've got a train to catch.
Whenever Z reviews a game, he brings it in and says whether he thinks I should put it in the library or not. Sometimes he says a game is okay. And I'm like, all right, because I
Oh, I
trust
think
Z.
I know what this is.
But in this case, he was wrong because the game's really good.
Yeah.
Chris brought me around in this game, and that's Riff Force.
Well, that is not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, actually, it's happened more than once.
There's another 2-player game that this happened with. And I think it was this year or maybe last year.
I don't have anything else on my list that's from this. What was the other one?
It's on the shelf out there. It's the Stratego.
Oh yeah, that was on my top 10 surprises
Spies.
last year.
There you go. Well, there you go. Right, that happened too. I was like, it's okay. You were like, it's great.
Yeah, I really like this. Now, when we first saw the cover of this, I wasn't interested. So that coupled with Z's meh. Actually, Z didn't say meh. He said
not. I thought it was
said,
okay.
He said it was fine. But I really like this. And I think part of it's because I like Battle Line. And this feels like an attack version of Battle Line. I also like that you can play. In fact, when we played, I was playing Chris and I said, this faction seems weaker than the rest. And then I beat Chris with that faction.
Yeah, it was
Specifically.
the last like 3
So is
turns.
that
Yes.
what to say about Chris is what we're asking here.
He's
So
easy to
Even
pick
the
up.
easiest faction could beat Chris. No, but I really like it. And I'm really excited that there's more factions coming because you can just mix them in and out, you know. So I really like Riff Force. And I put it in the library because I listen to myself, listen to my heart.
Listen to
Not
your
my head.
heart.
Z's your head.
Something
No, he's my beard.
or
No, that's worse.
Next.
Go.
Move.
All right, my number 7 is a game that I think I will be less surprised the more games from this publisher that I play, but I've been surprised by the first two. And this game is called Cellulose. This is from Genius Games. And I had only played I'd only played one other game by them. I played Genotype.
Really? Those are the first two you played from
First
this
two,
company?
the most recent ones. I had not played anything because I thought that they were really just like kind of dry educational games.
But I said specifically they weren't.
And I
Doesn't listen
ignored
to
you
your head.
completely. I ignored you. And so
I even used that line in the reviews. I said, these are not dry educational games.
Watch that.
we don't watch your reviews, Tom. I don't want to break this to you. But Cellulose is just a really solid worker placement game that has a great theme, and it has, you know, an entire book outside of the rule book where if you really want to get into the science behind it, it explains how thematically these actions tie in with the science. I don't particularly care about that. I'm not a huge science person. If you are, you'll be in heaven for that. But even if you're not, if you like good worker placement games, you'll be satisfied. It's a really, really solid game with a neat theme, and it looks on the board, on the table, like it's going to be a dry educational game, and it's not. It's a really exciting, fun, modern Euro. Why are you shaking your head?
Quote on the
Who
back.
knew? That's where I'm thinking.
Yeah,
It's like,
right?
who knew it was going to be like that? No one told me.
Quote on the back of the box.
I mean, seriously.
You'll be in science heaven, Mike DeLisio.
No, he said if you like science,
If you like science,
you'll be in heaven.
You'll be in heaven because it's going to have
I think he said if you like science, you'll go to heaven.
Correct.
Is what I heard.
all dogs go to heaven, is what you heard.
I'm
this
glad
one-
to finally know they're not dry educational games.
I like this pick.
That's really
sort
what
of
it
for
is.
any other list. It's just weird because, like, even in the studio, we've talked about this
But
company's
Tom,
games are
here's
good.
the thing. Here's the thing, though. I played this before you were even. I think I played this before you did.
Before I was born, you were
Before
about
you
to
were
say.
born.
No, I think
I really thought that's where you were going to go with that. yeah.
I think I played Cellulose before you did. I'm pretty sure I did. And so, yeah, you said afterwards, and then you're like,
Yes,
oh,
but
you've got
I
many
have
of
like
them.
four of them in the library,
and
Mike.
I always avoided them like the plague. Now I'm going to go back and play them, though. Seriously,
I really
am.
think so.
I'm going to go
They're-
back and play them because
Okay.
I've been so impressed.
All right, good.
I've yet to play any of those.
You
actually.
really should. I mean,
They
they're
look educational and boring.
right. They're not.
Z, I have
They're
a
one, but
surprise
not
for
the
you.
other. They're educational and not boring.
He'll be on Z's list next year. I didn't
right.
believe Mike or Tom.
Biggest surprise.
Mm-hmm.
These are two trustworthy men.
Yes.
My number 7 is a genre I do not tend to enjoy that much, though Tom, it's a setting, not a genre. Tom loves it, and that is amusement parks and
My
stuff like
word,
that.
yes.
It's like your
I know what the
jam.
game is now.
What is it, Tom?
It's the card
Wishland.
one. Wishland.
What is it?
Wishland.
You're right.
Wishland is right, yes.
When you
That's a great
wish
cover, by the way.
upon a
That is a
land-
fantastic
Yes.
cover, yeah.
It is good.
Way better than Aqua Garden.
Nah.
This was a very pleasant surprise for me, for sure. There was a lot going on at first blush. You sort of look at it and go, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, what, 8 rows of cards and 27 things to track and all that. I thought educational. For sure educational. Turns
dry.
out, not. Not educational.
Not
It's
at all.
fun.
Carnival in the eyes. It's very strong.
That's
yeah.
what it's about, right? Yeah, this is a neat sort of tableau building game. You're buying these cards. You are hiring people to work your fair, your location, rides. It's everywhere. Like this theme and the sort of little icons and everything is everywhere, all over this thing. And it allowed me to get into it in a way that didn't feel overwhelming, that wasn't sort of city building-esque, which I don't like as much. It's like, well, you have to build this roller coaster next to a taco stand, and then a worker has to be touching both. It's like, it doesn't get into that stuff. Yet still, you have to worry about the little symbols and what goes where and all of that stuff.
He doesn't like taco coasters. Unbelievable.
Taco coasters are. It
I would
depends.
ride-
Hard
I would
shell
ride a-
or soft.
There's nothing
Soft
better
taco.
before going on a roller coaster than eating tacos. I'm just going to throw this out there. That's a combination that never goes wrong.
Wishland.
That's my wish.
I play this because of how much you liked it. I really liked it too.
And Tom really liked it.
I did.
I haven't played it.
My number 7 is a game that we played live on the We'll Play It Live week, and it's a drawing game called Doodle Dash. This was
I don't know what we all did.
so much fun. It's a pleasant surprise. So everybody everybody but one person, the guesser, sees a word and they start drawing it as fast as they can. And the first person to finish it gets to be the first person to show it to the guesser, second, third, so on, right? Basically. And so you can draw as fast as you want and as pathetically as you want, and it might be just good enough to make the guesser actually get it. And that happened multiple times. The fact that you guessed horse on this like stick figure, demon head looking thing, that was Roy's horse. He just
It was a stick figure demon looking thing, but I just thought it might be a horse.
Still got a point.
It worked.
You did get it, yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising how badly you can draw so fast and just convey enough to make people guess it right. And it's really fun. And if the first person gets it wrong, the second person has a chance, third, and so on. It works really well. I was surprised. This is a party game where the scoring, so to speak, actually makes the game more fun instead of getting in the way of having fun.
Yeah. I guess my biggest question about this is how involved do you think Ray Romano was in the actual design of the game? Or did he just get his name on the box?
95% of it.
Okay.
So that's my number 7, Doodle Dash.
A lot of games make these lists because of how they look and their name. And this one's no exception. But I think I've taught this to all 3 of you at some point because I was like, I think you guys will like this even though it sounds and looks boring. And that is Mining Colony. All right, this is from Dr. Finn. He makes these games, and Mining Colony, that cover is actually not terrible.
Cover's not bad.
It's not
bad, but the name isn't exciting. And then when you look at the board, do we have a picture?
Yeah, it's
even that
polyominoes.
picture looks better than it looks. I think that picture looks better than it looks in person.
Yeah,
but it's
That's
just.
clearly
That's
doctored.
a render, yeah. It's a
It's
render.
a doctored image.
But you get these little polyominoes that you're drafting with a set of cards, and it feels like a fairly hefty game that takes 45 minutes. You're drafting these things, building this up. There's very few points in the game when it's done. I'm like, that worked better than it should be. I think Dr. Finn has like moments of genius.
I agree.
Biblios is one of those. And then he does a bunch of games there. I'm like, Then he does a good game, then But this was, I think, one of his high points, and it has not got a ton of praise. I think this might be my favorite game of his. I might like it even more than Biblios.
This is one of those games.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I could see that being my 11, actually. I've only played it that one time.
I
This
believe
was a big surprise.
This was one of those games, I believe, that was part of a bundle. I think he did a Kickstarter bundle of 3 games, and this was one of the 3. And usually you don't get games that good in those bundles. You see
I
what I'm
think there's
saying?
a lot of things working where I thought this would be an adequate game.
Yeah.
But it was really good.
Yeah, I was surprised, but like everyone at the table was surprised, and I was like, well, let's try it again. And it worked again. And I was like, yes, okay, it's good.
All right.
So Mining Colony.
All right, well, my number 6 is a game that surprised me because it's now got quite a bit of buzz behind it. But when I first played it, I didn't know.
Before it was cool.
You're right. I didn't know much of anything about it. My number 6 is actually Meadow. This is a game that I think is going to be appealing for its look and for its theme. This is a very popular theme, kind of nature, and I think it's going to make people think, at least it made me think, that this is going to be maybe like a Wingspan type of a feel. And it has little nods to that, but it's very much its own game. I really think it has a very clever action selection system where you've got these little, I call them fence posts. I don't know exactly what they are, but you choose them, you use them to either choose cards out of a central market or to take actions on kind of this other little circular board, and you are building out a tableau, a meadow in front of you. And it's really all about, thus the name.
I get it. That's my new number 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the name.
Yeah, now this game, as I said, has gotten quite a bit of buzz, but when I first played it, I was very surprised at how good it was. You did tell me, you're like, hey, Mike, I think you might like this game. This is a really good game. And so I had that going in, but that's all I had. I hadn't heard anything about it. I don't think that we had covered it in the news or anything that I remember.
It might have come across.
Yeah.
Well, no, we did know about it because we had that piece of art sitting here from it
Oh,
that
that's
I
true.
had forgotten about. I was like, oh,
Right.
yeah, this art piece of art is neat, but
I'll tell you also, I think that this game was sitting on our shelves for a while before anyone actually played it.
We had a pre-production
We had an early
copy.
that's
copy.
why. Yeah,
I played it when it was the pre-production. The reason it's not a
He was,
surprise for
he was
me.
cooler than you.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason it was not a surprise for me is on the back of the box it says from the creators of Dream Home.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
a really solid
This
game.
doesn't feel anything like Dream Home to me.
No, but it has simplicity,
Yeah.
but good depth for simplicity. And
Right.
so that's the only reason it's not a surprise for me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good
So
choice.
this is a really solid game, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. That's my number 6. Yes, Meadow.
That's good stuff. Meadow's good. All right, my number 6 is a game that Mike just played again.
Siege of Rundar.
I don't know why that's important, but he did because he borrowed it from me.
Oh,
This is the Dead Eye.
Good call, man.
This game is surprising in many different ways.
Is it a solo game?
It is.
It's a solo-only game. That's in and of itself still fairly rare.
That's
Yes.
fine. It's not
It's
easy
a
to read.
card-only game.
You'll see why in a moment.
And also,
See it yet?
this is a 3D. I don't know how to describe. It's a 3D game in which you put on 3D glasses.
It comes with a couple of pairs of
and
3D
it comes
glasses.
with 3D glasses, and the cards, the way they are printed, will look 3D to you. The images. So you can play with these glasses on and have
Sounds
this.
like a negative.
No, you can play without
You
them
have
too.
this, yeah. You can play without it. You can read everything. It's fine. It's legible. It just has this sort of weird alien feel to it when you're playing with those
Yeah.
glasses on. The game's a little tricky to figure out. It's a little. It's
The rule book's not
It's
the
not the
best.
most intuitive thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
figure out, but it is distinct. It's sort of unique and engaging, and just the fact that that gimmick worked and worked as well as it does. Even the board is a little board, and immediately you put these things on, and you can see the little rover thing leaping from one mountain to another. It's like, what is this? This is bizarre. I've never seen a game printed in this style, and it works. That right there would have put it on this list, to be honest. And then the game is good on top of that. So
It's kind of like you can tell it's a singular vision, right? This is like somebody's passion project. It's their vision, it's their art, it's their game. It's really a neat little game.
yeah. So the Dead Eye, my number 6.
Good call.
All right, my number 6 is a game that it comes from good pedigree of designers, but what surprised me is how well it nailed the theme, which is super important when your game is called Fast and Furious Highway Heist.
Oh, yeah, I remember you yelling about
You
this
were
one a
all
lot.
over this
yelled,
game.
I screamed, "Damn, it's good!" No. This is really thematic. Sometimes thematic games are a bit thematic to a fault, where there's mechanisms that kind of get in the way of the game. And I thought that was going to be the case with this, because you can jump on top of your car, you can jump from your car on top of the semi, you can punch people, you can hop into other cars, and that becomes your car. I was like, there's a lot going on here, but it conveys dumb, big blockbuster action movie really well. The car that you're standing on explodes. You are pushed by the explosion to safety of the roof of another vehicle closest to you. Little things like that make me laugh every time I play this game.
Explosions lead you to safety.
Exactly.
That's the message we're getting here. Yeah.
As long as you don't look at them.
Right. Yeah. Look
Yes.
away.
That's what I got from Mission Impossible, the first one.
Yes, yeah. This is all of that, all those tropes in a really fun board game. So that's, Fast and Furious Highway Heist.
Huh. I was not expecting to see Fast and Furious on this
That's
list.
a surprise.
Surprise!
To me.
Yeah.
All right, my number 6 is a game. We play a lot of games here in the studio
game?
live. We play a lot of games in the studio live,
Uh-huh.
and we don't often convey sometimes how horrible some of them are. They're pretty terrible.
Some are.
Sometimes we think they're going to be good, and then they're not. But occasionally we play one that we think is going to be not that great, and it's good. And I feel bad for saying that, because this is Shamans.
Oh, yeah.
You remember we played this and we were like,
I think it was the
know.
description that was like, really?
Yeah,
Social
okay.
deduction and trick taking? What?
Social deduction, trick taking, and
Yeah.
also Shamans,
Yeah.
whatever that means, okay? And in this game, it's kind of like, it's a trick-taking game where you're trying to make very specific things happen, depending if you're good or bad, light or whatever. I don't remember what all the theming is. No one cares. But it's really thinky, and you feel like you're making
That's
really
pretty.
cool,
It's
clever
gorgeous.
moves.
It's gorgeous.
I really like this one. It was very interactive. I think for unique games of the year, this might make that list too, right? It's just a
Yes.
solid little game. And when we played it, I was like, when I read the rules, I was like, yeah, we'll see how this works.
Yeah, no.
And it played
This
really
was
well.
a really
I think it was
good
me,
game.
Roy, and Mike who played
I
this,
believe
right?
you're right,
The
yeah.
first time.
I'll tell you, I almost put this game on my list until I remembered that I didn't actually play it. I was running the stream, but I was so invested with how weird of a game
Yeah.
it was, and I was like, yeah, that was such a good one. That can't go on my list.
That game was on the short list for my list. I considered it. It's a really good game.
So we like that one. Shamans.
Yes. All right, my number 5 is a game that I went into with remarkably low expectations. Okay.
Was Chris at the table?
He was not. I went into it with low expectations because it's an IP-based game. It's an IP-based game that I have zero connection to the IP. Zero connection.
Strawberry shortcake.
Fast and Furious.
Neither. No. My number 5 is Stardew Valley, which is a game that has some. It's not on my top games of the year, but that's not this list. There are some issues I have with the game, but I expected it to be a kind of a cynical cash grab, and it is absolutely not that.
It's there might be some cash grab. I just don't know that it's cynical.
I don't think it's either, honestly. I think
because
it's
a product that intends to make cash.
Of course, but I don't think it's like overpriced for what you get. I think that
no, okay, I take back what I said.
Lazy.
Yeah,
it's not at all. It's none of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a game that is a fully fledged design. If anything, it is much more of a quote unquote game than I was expecting. I expected it to be, maybe like a mass market feel, and it's not. This is a modern hobby board game with a lot of the trappings that you would expect. And so this was just one that at the end, I was like, wow, that actually is a pretty darn solid cooperative game. I mean, it had some issues. It was maybe more difficult than I felt like it should be. But for someone that had zero connection to the IP and was expecting very little, I was very pleasantly surprised by how solid of a game that Stardew Valley was. So that's my number 5.
And you haven't played the video game at all?
At all. At all. So it did make me actually more likely to want to play the video game.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm sure they were not counting on a lot of people discovering these things backwards.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
'Cause that game is enormous, that video game. So
that's what I've heard, yeah.
All right, my number 5 is sibling to one that Chris mentioned a little earlier.
Furious and Fast.
Too fast. Too furious.
Tokyo Drift.
Instead of Let's Dig for Treasure, I went with Let's Summon Demons.
I really thought all 3 of these might make your list.
Yeah. Yes, please. Check. This game was, completely out of left field, right?
Yeah.
The whole trilogy.
We were just like, let's play some games that day. I remembered Friday.
Yeah, just like some weird stuff. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Somebody's
that is how we played it, I'm sure.
How'd you get that photo of my
that was my joke. You got it though. You got it first.
Okay.
You take it.
Just again came out of nowhere. It was really funny, irreverent, ridiculous. The artwork, of course, has that 1950s look, but the kids are messing with voodoo witchcraft stuff. I thought it was great. And then the gameplay itself, I thought was the best of the 3 we played. You could make an argument for, Let's Dig for Treasure. The third one was, I thought, not as good, but I really liked that, space Machikoro-esque roll for dice trigger stuff that has that number, and you're collecting souls and buying evil stuff or whatever. It's so ridiculous. It's so over the top that then the theme becomes silly again.
Right.
And I like that about it. So yeah, Let's Summon Demons. You're going to need that.
I had a similar thing with Chris with Shamans with this one, in that I considered putting this on my list, but I didn't actually play it. I watched you guys play it.
Oh, I know.
And enjoyed it so much that I stayed, and then I played the Dig for Treasure game.
Well, first was
we gathered a crowd. We
were playing and laughing so much. You guys came.
You drew us into the room like you were summoning us as like we were demons. Right?
Okay, first of all, let's stop saying the word "like" in metaphors. All right, let's call a spade, demon.
This is outrageous. Good choice, E.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll see you at the meeting later. Bring the chalk.
Yes.
My number 5 is also a very demonic game, and it's called Anno 1800. This is like,
I thought this was going to make your top 10, actually.
Wow.
No, so it's not very demonic. No,
Oh yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
the cover is so striking, and then you look at the components, Roy.
Man, and that's not even giving you the whole picture.
No, that's
one
a
player
fraction of everything you're looking at.
Yeah, that's one player board.
That's one player. Yeah, the main board in the middle is just more squares.
Just tiles everywhere.
It's just square tiles everywhere, and I thought, oh, this is not what the cover kind of looked like. And we played this for one of the live spectaculars, and I thought, okay, let's play it. That way we can do it on camera. Hopefully, look okay.
Yeah.
And even at the end of my first game of it, I wasn't sold on it. I thought it was going to be okay. At the end of our second game, I had so much fun that I kept wanting to play it. I took it home, introduced it to Wendy. We played it together. This is a really solid game, and it's almost hard to describe it because it's a mix of worker placement. It's a mix of
it's very hard.
Engine building, I guess.
and contract fulfillment type stuff.
Yeah.
But Martin Wallace is the designer. Sometimes he gets on something where I feel like he says, "This is the game I wanted to design, and I'm doing it this way," and then he does it that way, and it works. A lot of times it doesn't work, but this is one of those where it began to sing the more we played it. So I was very, very pleasantly surprised, I guess, by it. NO 1800.
We all felt that way too. We were.
I
all
should
upset.
probably play
After
it
that
at
first
some
play, we were
point.
like, I don't know. It's sort of. I mean, it's really dry.
Yeah.
It's
It works
ponderous a
mechanically,
little
yeah.
bit. It's kind of lumbering a little bit, and you start to understand it and internalize it.
The tech trees.
And then you're like, okay, it changes from feeling lost in the forest to like, I only have 3 turns to get that guy. I really like that. It's a good switch. It's good. Good call.
All right, my number 6 or number 5. I almost didn't play. Didn't want
Are
to
there
play.
demons in it?
Yes.
Yes? Yes.
I think they're one of the factions. No, I'm not kidding. It's Overboss.
I know you're not kidding.
Overboss, a boss
Really?
monster adventure. And I'll tell you
Wow.
what, because the tagline
that
is a
tasty
boss
demon.
monster adventure,
same thing.
I wasn't interested in it because I don't really like Boss Monster. Boss Monster is just a card game that's very lucky and it's okay. It sold 1 million copies, so there's that. This though is a tile drafting game, and I tend to like drafting where you draft a tile, but you have some random tiles out and they have a random monster on them. So you draft a pair, very similar to Cascadia. In fact, I think I like this better than Cascadia.
Oh, bam, bam! Spoiler: Cascadia is not on his top 10
Not
of
on
the
the
year.
list.
That's true,
It's
actually.
called deduction, baby.
You know what, though? Now that I'm
Let's-
thinking about it, this is actually really similar to Cascadia because you take them, you place them on your board, and you need to put a monster in each of the dungeons, and then the way the monsters score and the tile score, though.
That happens in Cascadia too.
They're oddly.
Wow, I did not
Are
think
they
about
very
this.
close? Like infringement clause?
No, they're not.
Are we concerned?
But what you can do in this one is you'll notice that in that picture, there's like, I think 10 different sets of tiles and monsters. You don't use all the tiles in each game. You pick, I think, 5 of them and mix them together.
Okay.
And those are the ones you're using for that game. And each one scores slightly different. Some you want to have separated, some you want to have next to each other, whatever it might be. And then there's a quote-unquote overboss that has like a final method of scoring for the game. It works really well. You played this?
I did, yeah.
I was really surprised by this one. I liked it a lot.
Same.
I did not expect the bits in that game. I'd seen that cover. I did not expect the game or the game bids to look like that.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
saw the cover. I'm like, okay, the boss.
So I
monster
feel
stuff.
like this is probably not going to do that well.
Right.
Because the people who want that theme probably aren't as keen on that game, and the people who like that game aren't as keen on that theme.
Yeah, there's a little disconnect
Mostly that
there.
tagline, the boss monster tag. I saw ads and stuff for all the time. I thought, no, I don't need to play it.
But it was really good.
It was.
Gentlemen, let me ask you a question.
Bring it.
Sell.
What is the most overused and biggest glut of a genre of board games right now?
27. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous.
What style of board game is being overdone right now?
Roll
Zombies.
right.
Oh, what style?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, rolling right.
Okay.
By far.
So, or any of these types, flip and right games or roll and right.
Flipping right.
Yeah, okay. So, my number 4 is a flip and right game that.
Here we go, Nirvana again.
No, it's not Nirvana. It's on the other end of the spectrum. Nirvana
It's
is
a card
very
game that
simple,
becomes a roll
Armageddon.
and right.
correct. It's a very. This is Hadrian's Wall.
There you go. Just say it, man. Just get
Hadrian's
it out.
Wall
Come
is
on.
it's a heavy, meaty, combo-rific flip and right game that has quickly rocketed up to being yes.
That's not a joke. It will take me about 15 to 20 minutes to explain
Yes.
that to you, actually.
Yes. Is it complicated?
Yes.
Is it? Does it have a learning curve? Yes. Is it a little bit intimidating to teach and learn? Yes. Is the payoff worth it? Yes. I wasn't going to let you jump in there. This is
Why would I ever do that,
This is
Mike?
a spectacular top of its class of this type of game. I still and feel like we have too many of these types of games, but if there were more of them like this, I'd be more on board.
I don't consider this to be too many of those type.
Right.
This is its own beast.
It very much is.
And,
right.
well, last year, Roman roll.
Yeah.
I said that didn't need to be a roll and write
Yes.
game. This one does,
It
and it
absolutely
works.
does. It does
really well.
I agree 100%. And so, for a game that I went into, really, I had some expectations because of the publisher, but this is a first-time designer, right? So I didn't know anything about that. It was Flip and Write, which I was already like, man, I'm kind of over these. It was really, really good, and I was very surprised. This was in consideration of best.
I
game
will
for
tell
the
you
year.
though, the right part is 95% of the game.
Yes.
You flip one card, then you spend 5 to 10 agonizing
Well,
minutes doing things.
You do and you don't. I mean, you flip a couple of cards because one becomes a scoring goal, which is one of my favorite parts of the game. Is that one card you're choosing is going to be what you're going to be
No,
scoring.
that's not flipping. That's
Oh, that's true.
putting a hand of cards.
That's the hand. Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
saying
you're
the
right.
one card you
Oh,
flip.
I see, with the
That gives you
workers.
resources.
With the workers
It's
and
a
everything.
I'm so
really
lost
minor
now.
part of the game.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I was confusing what you were saying.
I don't know
Yes.
what happened, but I think Tom won that argument.
It wasn't an argument. It was a
It was an
misunderstanding.
argument. There was fighting involved. Let's summon demons.
I win.
I want to play this
Some of
one
them
quite a bit. This is one of the few I kind of regret I haven't played this year. But I will
Not
say,
me.
the first time that, Tom, you sat down to learn it with the table, Brian and I played an entire game of On Mars.
That's true.
Oh my God.
It shouldn't
They
be that
did.
long. It
Well,
should
no.
not be that
That's
long.
because I was walking
Here we
through
go.
the
There's another
rules.
one, there's another one.
That is a from the rules
It's a
to
bear.
teach.
It's a
I
bear
was like,
if you're
oh
learning
my
from the
word.
rules. I could teach and play a game much quicker, but the
I
first
can teach it
time,
now faster.
yes.
Be like, hey, but gladiators. We'll talk about those later.
Yeah. Save the gladiators for last. That's correct.
Mike won that
Tom
one.
won again, I think.
In the end,
Split.
We're trying to turn this into Fight
Rock,
Club.
paper, scissors, shoot. You okay?
Mike won.
Mike won.
oh wait, what?
Yes. Always go with rock. Wait.
Trusty old rock.
What's yours, Z? Come on.
What number are we on? What list is this? I forgot what list we're doing.
Where are we?
Biggest
Number 4.
disappointments of the year.
Number 4 is a tile drafting game for 2 players called Botanique. And
I hate
Botanique
that
here
cover so much.
is a fantastic cover. This is a little bit, Tom, in a roundabout kind of way. It feels to me like Lost Cities, the tile game.
I'm back in.
Okay.
Do I have
you're-
to not look at the cover while I play?
You have to not look at the
Can
what?
I not look at the cover while
You
I play?
cannot look at the cover while you play. The cover is not part of the gameplay. Yeah.
And that art seems
Seems like a
different.
wasted
I'm back
opportunity.
in.
The art is kind of weird and
I'm back in.
strange.
Looks like a stronghold game.
You basically put tiles on your side of this thing or in the middle. Oh my gosh.
There we go. He comes in the room. It
We're
takes
done.
him
The
12
Winter
seconds.
Spectacular is over. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, folks.
He walks in the room. It takes him less than 10
I
seconds to
summoned
get
the
on
demon.
camera.
I'm sorry.
That's
Less
it. We're done.
than 10
Happy
seconds to
2021,
get on
everyone.
camera.
Good night.
It looked like a strong name.
You don't have a
You
mic.
did light the
He was
candles,
being
Tom.
mean to me.
You're the one
as
that lit
usual.
the candles.
You summoned the demon.
Well, at least he called himself a
Sure.
demon. Back to you, Z.
Anyway, you're putting these tiles out. You are then putting a tile in the center that stops sharing a feature with the one on your side to release it, and then you play it in front of you. And you're running these pipes, trying to have the same color grouped up. That's the part where you're trying to, like when you start a run in Lost Cities, you have to like get another one, then you're scoring. Get another one, now you're actually really scoring. And you don't end up with a particularly big grid. It's fairly small, but every little decision is agonizing in it. It's just engaging, and I like the rusty pipe steampunky kind of vibe to it. I don't just like that cover. It's weird. It's highly stylized, but I like that look. So Botanique, if you're looking for a good 2-player game, tile laying, that's a good one right there.
Loopy
Dave.
said if that's what shows up when you play that demon game, she'll never play it.
Somehow he had not even completely entered the room and still got on camera. Half his body was still outside the room, and his face is in the camera.
True.
I like David who said now the Bonacore's here. It's the Winter Spectacular is ended. It's now the Winter Mediocre.
Oh, no, I don't back that up. I do not agree with that.
That's awesome.
My number 4 is a very small card game, and it's based off of an IP. And I've not watched this movie yet, and I really like this animation studio. It's called Cartoon Saloon. The name of the
I know what
game
this
is
is.
called Wolfwalkers: My Story.
Oh wow.
Oh, I'm
Forgot
sitting
about
on my
this.
desk at home to play with my son.
Yeah.
Oh, really? This is a
Is
really
this the one I
charming
played
game.
with you? Because I played
Yeah.
one of these two. Okay.
Yeah, you played
I thought it was a
with
kids
me.
game.
There's 2. There's one that's a kids game. It's a cooperative little kids
Yeah.
game.
Right.
That's Wolfwalkers: The Board Game.
Oh, I think that might be the one I have.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. This one's Wolfwalkers: My Story. It is it is a bit similar to, what do you call it? It's the point salad game.
Targi?
It's
No,
very,
point salad?
It's
Not
similar to
actually
point salad, except you make a grid, right? There's,
Points. Right.
there's kids.
He meant the game called
game
point
called Point Salad,
salad.
yes.
Yeah. So there's cards that are face up, which have symbols on them, and then there's cards that are face down, which give you points based on certain combinations and arrangements of symbols. Mike, you and I played the first game of it, and I thought, this is okay.
Yeah.
Then I went home and I played with Wendy a few more times, and
It was like, oh, now I like
Now
it.
I like it. Now
Now
I
I
played
like
with
it.
somebody whose company I enjoy
Yeah.
spending time with. Yes.
To whom could I assign blame?
But one of the things the game does really well is that there's a lot of variability. You can have different little bonuses that each player can have each game, and then you can also create like a rule change for each game. This game you draft 2 cards at once, or this game you know what I mean, you get bonuses for certain things. I thought that variability added a lot to it, and so I ended up liking it a lot more. Even that first game that we played, I thought this is a competently made game for a movie, for like a cartoon movie. The more I played it, the more it really just kind of opened up. I like this one a lot.
Now, when you were playing with Wendy, were you constantly shouting at her to take her turn like in our game? Because maybe that was the difference.
Oh, okay.
That could be
This
it.
didn't make your list, did it?
No.
That's what you're saying.
No,
Yeah.
this was actually a fine game, but I have only played it the once, so
And you played alone, and it was much better.
much better.
My number 4. All right, let's move on here.
Chat. Come on.
In my house, I have 6 daughters.
He just got on the. This dude is
Ban user.
This is ridiculous.
amazing.
Ban.
Straight demon.
Not Danny Boy, I'm gonna kill you. We're getting close.
Okay, well, we have that on camera.
Wow.
If Roy goes missing, folks.
My number 4.
What's the opposite of
Okay,
evolve?
talking back to my question. Come
Devolve.
on, you're,
This is devolve.
you're ruining the whole spectacular.
Do you want me to shut the door?
What's the opposite of spectacular?
Botanique.
There we
All
go.
right, anyhow, my number 4. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, I
I
had 6
don't know.
daughters, hair ties all over my house. This game uses those cheap rubber hair ties as its main gaming component. It came out a few years ago, but it came out in English this past year. And this is Rule the Realm.
Oh,
So
really?
Rule the Realm, which looks like a mass market game and actually
Okay.
feels like a mass market game, is actually a very clever area control game that uses little rubber bands.
Wow.
So you get these boards, and
Oh,
there's
wow.
there's like a peg board,
Yeah.
and it has, I think, 8 different games that you can put on top of it.
Nothing you're saying
was
sounds
gonna say,
good.
none
You know
of
what
this
I mean?
sounds good at
Those
all.
would all
Amazing.
be
No,
red
I'm
flag.
sorry. Let me
Is it
rephrase
semi-co-op
It's the
also?
same game, but with different sets of rules and things to take over.
Got it.
A scenario. How
Okay.
about 8 scenarios? So would be a better word.
Back in.
And then you collect cards a la Ticket to Ride style to be able to put your bands around different color posts, and you can do it in different ways to form shapes. You can like shoot for the middle or try to go around an area to get all the coins that are in between. Now this particular picture makes it look extremely busy. It's not nearly as busy
on the
in
table,
on the table itself. But I was really surprised at this one. It was a lot of fun, and it's pretty clever. Again, the packaging, it's like
Yeah.
it's in that big
Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
box. They're rubber bands, but they're not really rubber bands. They're like those
They're the
cheap hair
plastic
tie
ones,
things.
yeah.
Flat,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
flat, crummy ones, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
But I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty fun. So that's Rule the Realm.
All right, so my number 3 is a game that surprised me in a couple of different ways. Number one is I'm kind of over, and I never was a huge fan of deck building, and this is a deck building game. This is a Imperium, Classics or Legends. You can go with either one.
I thought you were going to pick Siege of Rundar again. Got it.
No.
What just happened?
Hey, there we go. There we go. This is the Classics version, and there are basically 2 separate games that play the same way. They just have different civilizations, all right? And so this is a deck building game. It's a very heavy game, right? It's a game that it takes, again, it has a bit of a learning curve. But boy, was I really taken with this.
Yeah.
This game is so solid, and it plays asymmetrically, so each civilization is going to play different, and some of them pretty strikingly different. It's
Like,
not.
I'm really surprised. I thought for sure this was top 10 for
I
you.
agree. You've talked about this like
I-
all
I
year.
thought-
it seems
I
like.
thought this was top 10.
I can't talk more without spoiling things But let's just say that it may.
Oh my word,
Look,
that's cheating.
We're part. No,
oh
no,
my
no, no.
word.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. We're part of multiple lists. I'll tell you, this is not on my top 10 of the year, but it may show up on another list of mine.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I thought this would be on top 10.
It was in the mix. It was in the mix.
It was a contender.
I thought this was like top 5. That's why. I mean, that's why I'm surprised.
You know, it's well, this
Trash is what I'm hearing.
No, it's very good, and there were a lot. When we talk about our top 10s of the year, you know, great games.
You'll
and this
see.
is another one.
You'll see.
But this is a really, really good deck building game. Not the type of game that I use. Also, it has a bunch of like card text where this triggers that. I usually hate those type of games.
Yeah,
I
right,
usually
right.
hate those type of games. This one works for me. Now, I will say I would never want to play it at more than 2 because
Yep.
it's long. It's very
Maybe
long.
3 really
Maybe
good
3
players.
people who know their decks
Maybe.
well. Yes,
It's a heavy game.
It
too,
is a
right?
heavy game. Yeah. So, but man, when it goes, when it clicks, when you start to learn how your civilization works, it's so satisfying. Really, really good game. Imperium Classics or Legends, just go with whichever one appeals to you more.
We should mention at the beginning of our episodes that this particular episode is being recorded live before a studio audience, which
Yes.
is why there's been a lot of chatter from the male half of the audience.
Yeah, and also the loudest.
female half of the audience is changing cameras in
Right.
midstream.
And we also have the loudest keyboard in existence over there.
Oh my goodness.
This is Steven's typing.
All right. So, anyway, Z, we always mess up your number. Sorry.
No, this has been like a roller coaster of a top 10.
No, it's something.
I'm going to go ahead and change horses midstream here. This is no longer my top 10 surprises of the year. This is now the top 3 are actually going to be top 3 games that I wish I had played. Okay?
All right, change up the
Oh,
slides.
is that
Roy.
true? Like,
On
are
the
you just
fly.
saying that, or is
That's
that
what
true?
I'm going with.
Oh,
so
okay,
why
good.
not?
I
You know,
like it.
here we go. No, I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding.
No, you should
My
not.
number 3 is a tiny little wallet game from Button Shy called Death Valley.
Ah.
Death Valley is it's one I backed from. This guy gets it. It's one I backed from Kickstarter. The Kickstarter they did, Button Shy, because it looked interesting. It looked really neat, and the artwork is gorgeous
Oh,
all
yeah,
over
look
it.
at that.
So I've enjoyed some of these micro games, but this one really surprised me because it does some interesting new things in set collecting. Many, small card games are about collecting sets or having some sort of. This card is both a symbol and a scoring ability. A lot of games have that by now.
He's the worst.
I don't know what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and just machine through this.
It's
Here
like
I go.
herding cats in here now.
Come on, acting training, don't fail me now.
He's picking up a name he dropped over there.
I don't know what's happening. Are you like searching for Wi-Fi?
come on, Chris.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm hearing trucks backing up. There's the faint roar of demons being summoned.
I checked out to see what's going on outside.
All right, just go, Chris.
It's locked.
I like Death Valley. It's a great game. It has a push your luck element, and it's gorgeous, and you should play it. Solo mode
This is
also
one I
pretty
really,
good.
I
actually.
really do want to try.
You haven't
this.
played solo mode with this.
I haven't played it at all. I really want to.
2
though.
players, great.
Okay.
Solo mode
It's really
was
good?
surprisingly good.
Okay.
I messed with it once at a
Yeah.
convention. We were like at a retreat, and I just messed with it while waiting.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I shuffled up and played again. It's neat.
All right, I'll check it out.
I think you'll like it.
I like it.
Good luck finding a copy. My number 3, Death Valley. Hashtag backing up a huge truck.
My number 3 is a game that I know it comes from a good pedigree, so it's like good company and everything, but when I saw the title and when I saw the components, I was pretty sure it wasn't going to work, and that's a game called So Clover.
Oh,
I thought, it's a silly little
it's not
name.
inspiring looking, that's for sure.
It's not inspiring looking, and then I saw the actual componentry, and it's really a 4-leaf clover that you put word cards onto. And when I...
Oh, it's a clover.
It's so clever.
Right?
That was a joke.
So
I knew it was a clover. I'm
Oh, it's a joke. I
Isn't
get
it supposed
jokes.
to be funny if it's a joke?
blammo.
Blammo. So you create clues around the outside based on the 2 words that are facing that way. And I, even up till my first time of playing it, thought, this sounds like it's not going to work. Like, it might be funny, it might be fun, but I don't think it's going to work. But this game works really well. This is one of my most played games this year. It was played at the retreats
A lot.
constantly.
Yeah.
It was always out.
Yeah,
I don't get the blammo thing. Somebody help me out with that?
I have no idea what that
Why
is.
didn't it say like Lincoln for Toy Log? I would have put Lincoln.
Lincoln, yeah.
Right, absolutely.
What is Blammo? Is that a brand?
never even-
Blammo! I don't know.
Blammo was no, Whammo was the Frisbee. I don't know what Blammo is.
It's a brand.
Is it?
It might be a brand.
The audience
Maybe.
is shouting at us that it's a brand.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so anyway, that's my number
Oh, the
3,
studio
So
audience got it.
Clover.
Okay.
Oh, that audience. I don't consider that audience. That's more like a pest. All right, my number 3 is a crossover
Oh.
with Z Garcia.
There we go.
Hey.
Finally.
Wishland.
Huh?
Wishland.
No, actually, no. I liked Wishland. No, it's Night of the Ninja.
Oh, wow.
There we go, baby.
Because I very much, I could. Justin was sitting there explaining the game. He was like, "This is a social deduction game. Unlike other social deduction games, we're like,
Yeah, right.
We've heard this all
that.
before."
Of course.
And as he had us on your top experiences yesterday, I just wasn't expecting it to be that good of a game, and it
He was not
really
wrong. It is kind of different from
It
other
is.
social deduction
It is.
games.
He explained all the things he didn't like permanent elimination, and the having to keep your secret the whole game, and not knowing what roles do, and it just plays super smooth. This is really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This is.
Whoever puts this
I
on
think
their
it's the
top
best social
10,
deduction of the year. Maybe I'm trying to think if there's another
that
one.
genre is not being as flogged as much. So there's
Yes.
fewer each
It's
year,
not,
right?
but I am getting tired. So many come out that are duplicates.
I have a feeling this is going to be one of those games that show up on Hidden Gems list a lot, because I don't know that it's going to get a lot of attention, but the people that like it, there you go, write it down, are going to be, they're going to want to introduce it to other people. Like, hey, you haven't tried this game, you never heard of it? Let me show you, because it's really good.
Summon.
In chat saying Blammo is the name of the company, the fake company in Ren and Stimpy that made Log,
Oh,
the toy.
that's what it is.
It's logs.
log. Okay,
There we go.
I get it.
No, I hate Ren and Stimpy. I'm never watching it again.
You idiot!
I don't care.
All right. All right, my number 2 has a similar situation to where I had with Meadow, in that it's now very well known, I think, and people are coming across.
guy.
We know you're cool, Mike.
No, part of this job is we play games, relatively
Before they're
early.
cool.
You know you were an innovator
I don't
long
want
before that.
I don't want to use the word tastemaker. I'll leave that to all the many other people out there who use that for me, right? My number 2 is Furnace. This is a game that I was intrigued by the cover, but then when I heard what it was about, I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't really.
Another one I thought was in his top 10.
Yeah,
I'm really
Wait a
confused
minute.
now.
You like the cover, but you don't like what actually is happening in the game?
When it was described to me,
Right.
I was like,
it sounds just like the cover.
"What are you talking about? The game, the
coal
gameplay
into-
sounds like an industrialist."
Yeah.
No, you're wrong.
Turn
It's
coal into oil. Turn oil into points.
Where do you see that on there?
The furnace. Continue, Mike. Continue.
You're out of your mind.
There's a handsome beard.
Anyway, it is a handsome beard. But this is a game that
I've
checks
lost
off
control.
so many boxes for me. I really like the kind of the bidding mechanic. It's brilliant. It's clever. It's similar to something you played before, but not exactly the same. You can do a little bit of bluffing. You can get into people's heads. And then it's kind of a 2-part game. You've got that first part, which is the kind of auctioning, trying to get your resources or claim a card. And then the second half is kind of a little bit of a solitaire game where you're running your engine.
Right.
And it's over like that. I mean, it is a 40 to 45 minute game where you feel like you have really played a game. It doesn't feel like a filler, but it has the length and the rule set of a filler. I really was taken with this. And again, this is one that was on the short list of my games of the year, but it didn't quite make it. But it sure as heck did surprise me. It surprised me a whole lot. And that's why it's number 2 on my list. Furnace. Really good game. If you have not played it, you absolutely owe it to yourself.
I can see this being a surprise on a lot of people's lists this year.
I agree.
All right, my number 2 is another. I just had number 3 was Death Valley. Well, number 2 is another Valley and a crossover with this man right here.
Hidden Valley
Stardew Valley Ranch dressing.
That was close.
Yeah, I the same as the thing you said, Mike, where you assume, and it came out of nowhere, right? Like
It
they
did.
announced it, it's on sale.
Basically,
On
yes.
their website.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a surprise for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. You assume this will be closer to what most people think of as games, as board games. But while it has a lot of luck, it does have a lot more luck than the average game of this length, I would say.
Yes.
It is clearly done by someone who understands modern gaming and knows how to put together a cooperative experience that feels tight, has moments of, you know, highs and lows. It works. It's you know, compared to the average other modern Euro style game, yes, it's lucky. There will be swings in it for sure. But man, I was kind of blown away by how the care that went into this game. So yeah, it's not my favorite game of the year, but I was definitely very surprised by it. So my number 2, Stardew Valley.
I think it's a good pick in terms of how surprising it was. I
Yes, you guys all like it more than I do. I think it's okay.
I don't like it that much, but I am surprised that it was so well made.
It would go nowhere near my top of the year list, but it was
I hate it.
huge.
Yeah, no.
But it was a huge surprise. I think it's a good, not great game, but it was a big surprise.
It's like a solid 3 out of 10.
Exactly.
So my number 2 is a game that I think what surprised me about it is that I did not terribly care for the first game that this company made. I liked it, but I thought it was overproduced. It was too big and too much going on. It's one that Tom likes a lot, so I guess they like the original. My number 2 is a game called Unsettled. This is by Orange Nebula Games, right? I know that you champion Vindication.
Okay, now I know that's on your top 10. If this thing shows up on this list, we're gonna have words.
I agree. Then we're gonna be like, you got the list mixed
You
up.
did something wrong.
I thought Orange Nebula was going to make this production too much. And even when you first set it up on the table and I saw it spread out, I thought it's going to have the same Vindication problem where the fancy, neat production gets in the way of I just want to take quick turns and do cool stuff. I think this game has a lot going on in it, but I think the production works towards its benefit.
I agree.
I think the game has a lot of very great cooperation in it. It was one that I wasn't terribly thinking was going to be my kind of jam, but I like this one a lot, and it's one that I could have fun going through all of the different planets. It comes in a weird box form factor and everything. A lot of stuff threw me off at the beginning, but the more I play it, the more I really like it. So that's why my number 2 is Unsettled.
Awesome.
My number 2 is, sorry, I lost track here. This is one that I wasn't as pumped about it because I like the designers, but it was a new company and I didn't care for the art and I didn't know anything about the theme until I then went and read the entire graphic novel. And this is Mind Management. Really do like this game, and I have to say, the art's kind of growing on me.
There you go. Now you're coming around. Now you're coming around.
I am, and I don't know why. I mean, I still don't think a girl should have a gun as half of her head. But
What?
I don't think that's
like
technically
the
what's
best piece of
happening
artwork in this whole game is the stylized choice of the split thing. It's all this artwork that I really don't like. It's
actually, I don't
the
mind that
notebook
artwork.
doodle vibe of all this is
I
like,
like all of
woof.
it. It definitely has that graphic
Well,
novel
this is
feel. It's
a,
great.
you know, one versus many hidden movement game, but it's so much more than that.
Yep.
It really is. And I'm not even talking about the whole grandiose shift system, which is kind of like a campaign legacy thing that changes the game based on who wins. Just the base game itself, I think, is very solid and interesting. It feels like nothing. Honestly, this is a genre that's underused.
Yes.
This one versus many. There's so few of these games that come out, and I really like them, and almost everyone that comes out seems to do really well. But I think they're probably hard to design.
I would think you're right to keep that balance. I think that the balance of a one versus many game has to be really tough.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, my number 2, Mind Management.
Good call. All right, my number 1, I feel really bad about this, but I have to be honest with you and with you. Not with you. All right.
I'll be honest with you. Don't worry about that.
My number 1 was a game that I didn't expect much because I don't know that I've liked any game by this publisher before. But this is it's not you, it's me.
Is it
problem.
Stronghold?
No, it's not.
Come on.
I only wish it
Well,
were.
no, I'm asking. That was a clarifying question. No.
So,
That was not a clip.
this is Bezier games. And there's a lot of very popular Bezier games. I just don't like them.
You don't like Suburbia?
No.
You don't like Kazumaki and Lubick?
No.
You don't like Ultimate Werewolf?
No. None.
Wow.
There's only one thing I like less.
You don't like Maglev Metro?
Number 1 is Maglev Metro.
Bam!
This game, I was so surprised at how much I liked it. It clicked for me right away. even going into it, I went into it kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to try to be open-minded, you know, but I was not really looking forward to the first play. I have to be honest. I was not looking forward to it.
Oh, thanks.
No, but it was not, again, it wasn't because of you. It was just because none of these games from this publisher have worked for me. They've all bounced off me, and they've all been popular to other people.
Next time I teach Mike a Bezier game, I'm not showing him the box.
Yeah, maybe. But this is so good. It's a really, really solid, because it's got pick up and deliver as this kind of central mechanism, but it's so much more than that. It's really about the manipulation of your action board and how cleverly you can pivot. It's got a nice mix of strategy and tactics where you can still do things on your turn to kind of change things up, but you have to have a long-term goal. It plays in a great length. It has a really kind of dynamic feel where the kind of things grow as you go. Really, really, I was very taken aback by how much I liked Maglev Metro, so much that it was, again, on my short list for games of the year, but didn't quite make it. So it's #1 here, though. Really good game.
Not one I have played.
Yeah, it's good, man.
All right, my #1 is a game that we were talking about a decent amount just earlier today, because it is Stella, a Dixit Universe
You
shenanigan.
timed this!
I did? No, I don't think I did.
Nice.
So go back to earlier today and watch our live Foursquare review of this, and you'll know why I like it.
It's true.
I guess.
Time saving.
It's just a very fun, casual party game that combines the beauty and somewhat mysterious energy of something like Dixit with the fun and clever matching type game of something like Compatibility, which we talked about. Bring those two things together, I'm on board. Really like this. Very surprised, because I hadn't heard about it, you know. So it came out of nowhere. I'm like, Stella, a Dixit game? What's that mean? Dixit? Is it an expansion?
Right.
So I was very pleasantly surprised.
Mike, I just want to point out before I do my #2 that someone.
Your number one.
You mean your
by the way.
#1?
Someone before I do my #2, someone in the chat said
Oh,
that
don't do. Okay.
Furnace was in your.
Don't make a bad joke.
No, that's not what. Furnace was.
Okay.
It's all Mike's fault.
Some
good things in here.
For a second.
We're on camera.
Can't hear you. It's just black screen.
There we are.
Okay. Woo! Well, if you're watching, the problem for that was definitely Mr. Bonacore.
Yes.
Tripped over a cord.
That
Absolutely.
was Kristen was #2. We had to take a
All
break.
right. #2, Chris. #1, not #2.
Okay.
Hey,
There we are. There we are.
Where were we? It was right. You're
Yeah, I was
#1,
about to say
right?
my #1. Yeah, Roy, you're a wizard. Thank you so much for saving that. Sorry that you have to come back to this. So anyway, my #1 is a game that I think very few people have played. I've not heard much buzz about it. It's a game called All-Star Draft. And when you see the cover of it, I think it's understandable that not many people are chomping at the bits. Hockey and sports kind of themed games are not huge. This is and the weird animals and stuff. There's ravens and there's ducks and bears, and they're not really ranked in any sensible order of like food chain or whatever. But it's a super cool drafting game.
That's dark. Is this hockey or?
Okay, size. How about that? But
Okay.
you are doing a very unique type of drafting where you are drafting you're drafting 3 different teams, 1 team per round. Pick a card, pass the rest of them along. But then you can kind of manipulate. You can trade players between between your 2 or 3 teams as they go on, and you're trying to just win points with majorities, basically. But at the end of the game, you scoop up all of the cards that you've drafted into a mega hand, and then you have to play this little you have to play this game where you're playing 5 cards at a time from that hand, and you switch a few at a time. It sounds so disjointed, but this game works. Every time that I've taught this, groups have had a ton of fun with it. This is definitely from the art and the low expectation I have going into it versus the amount of fun that I've had playing this game with 6 people down to 2 people.
Oh.
This is a really good game. So my #1's All-Star Draft.
For those of you who missed it, we were making
Yes.
fun when the stream went down. We were making fun of Mike for having Furnace on his list twice in a row.
Yes, and I said
Yeah,
I was
like
surprised.
this year and last year.
I may or may not have also had it on my surprises list last year.
Look forward to it.
I'm surprised at my failing memory.
We laughed a lot.
Yes.
Then the internet dove.
Merriment was had.
All right. This one drives me nuts, Chris, because I don't know where to put it. The one you just talked about.
The
All-Star Draft.
All-Star Draft. Because it's so cool, and yet it's unwieldy. It needs
I think it needs to be refined a little bit.
the final part of this game, the Tournament of Champions, whatever it's called, is such a fascinating thing. It's sitting on my desk, and I'm trying to think what I can do with this game because I find it's the most fascinating game of the year for me because I don't know what to do with it.
Give it to Knizia. Let him turn it into a game.
So, anyhow, my number one.
I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know what that's.
I'm not giving it to Knizia. He'll say he invented it. Anyhow, number one is for me is an overused theme to the point where there are some themes that put me to sleep instantly. Hearing about them, building a castle in the Middle Ages, and trading in the
Ocean.
in the Middle East. Trading in the Middle East is just way overdone for me. But this game, I like this game so much, and no one's talking about it, and that's Almaty.
Oh, I played this.
You did not like it as much as I did.
That's correct. Yeah.
But I really enjoy this one. It's a tile-laying game in which you draft tiles, very similar to Overboss, actually. You draft a tile from this row. And then you place these tiles in your own personal grid, and you're connecting symbols to arrows. And when you connect that arrow to a symbol, then you can do something. You can take that action. When you take a tile, you have to put it in a row. So if I take a tile from number 3, it has to go in my row 3. But there are things that let me move them around, which might which are going to let you combo. Like I can now do another action, which lets me do another action. And I really like it. It looks so terrible in that picture.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
This picture ain't selling anybody on this game, but it's really fun. It's so interesting. I always play with the full rules because there's these special abilities you can get stuff. I just really like it. Z was not as impressed.
This was not bad by any means, and you are right. This was. I wasn't sure what to expect going in, and it was better than I expected.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of cleverness, and there's that cascading thing, like you said, that Ganshan clever. One thing leads to another, like the song. But no, I don't like it as much as you did.
But I thought it was a lot of fun. So that was my biggest surprise.
Let me check out your list really
of
quick.
the year.
Is it this one here?
Yes.
No, I can't pick that one. I'll put Ultra. That's gonna make up my furnace. I knew there was
It's
something.
moving all the way up that high, or are you
No, we'll shift everything
shifting
down.
things?
I'll make that my 10 because everyone's giving me grief in the
Okay,
chat. about
let's start again. From the top,
Cancel
Roy.
the stream again.
Play the intro.
Okay. Folks, we actually got to end this because in 6 minutes,
Ooh.
we're going to the next part of the Winter Spectacular. We'll be playing Goonies Escape from One-Eyed Willie's.
One-Eyed Willie's Treasure or something.
Yeah. There's going to be spoilers, but it's going to be fun. And then after that, more top 10s and more stuff coming your way. I'm pointing at the TV over there. I don't know why. More stuff. I would say special guest for the next episode, but no specialness. All right, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Mike Delisio.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Chris Yee.
This has been a super interesting top 10. We'll see you next time.